We have 3 flex players in this debate. 2 of them are on the agree side, so they agreed that having one trick usually does put your team at a disadvantage. Whereas we have one trick and 1 flex player on the disagree side, where they think, no, it doesn't really put your team at a disadvantage.
Wait, so on the disagree side, what was your guys' reason for thinking having a one trick doesn't put your team at a disadvantage?
I mean, I think it's all about, just general, skill, Oh, a one trick, it all depends on what their skill is. A one trick could be really good, a one trick could be really bad. Generalizing it doesn't kind of puts you in the wrong mindset, like at the very beginning, at the very start of the game.
Yeah, and I also feel like it comes back to how much time they've spent on that hero. If they've spent, 500-600 hours on that hero, that doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna throw the game. But if they're, if they're fresh into Overwatch and they're calling themselves a one trick because they've played 5 games and 4 of those games with Soldier, I mean, yeah, that's probably not going to go super well. But as far as like one tricking something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go bad.
Melody, you said you shouldn't get into the mindset of like one tricking is bad and stuff, but you also shouldn't get into the mindset. No, you said mindset of like you need to swap, you need to counter. But you also shouldn't get into the mindset that you can like win your way through everything. Like sometimes you just don't have the skills. Sometimes it just doesn't work. So you need to get into the mindset of like being flexible. Like being flexible is good. That's how you win games. Sometimes the enemy team is just that much better. You can't outskill them. So you just have to swap and do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some games that just generally just aren't winnable, whether it be by communication, your team comp, whatever. But I still just don't think it's great to just sit here and say all one tricks or maybe like you will have a disadvantage if there is a one trick on your team because they might be like an absolute god at that character.
Yeah, that's true. But like if you're a god at Doomfist and if you're a god at Doomfist, the enemy team is gonna counter you. And if you get a Sombra, McCree, Cassidy and all that kind of thing against you, then you can only go so far.
I kind of have to disagree with that. I don't know if you guys have been playing recently. This past week, I've seen nothing but Doomfists, and they have all been god tier, and they are unstoppable. Like, no matter what we take to counter them, they could not be stopped.
Well, if they're all unstoppable, they would all take up the top 30 leaderboards, which you see maybe like 4 Doomfists, 5 Doomfists in the top 30. So they're not always unstoppable. Also, I think like disadvantage, I mean like less of a chance to win, not an immediate loss. So when you have a one trick, you do have a less of a chance to win because that lessens the hero pool on your team. And also, this is like you usually have a disadvantage. So that's not like all the time. It's like some of the time you will have a disadvantage by having a one trick on your team because that limits the heroes that can be picked.
I wouldn't say that all one tricks. I wouldn't say that all one tricks are only good at one character. I mean, I think a lot of one trick just do one trick because they like playing a certain character, but are really good at other ones. They just like playing a certain one because if I have to, I'll switch to Moira if I have to. I don't really want to all the time, but I will if I absolutely have to.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about fun all you want, but in a comp environment, we're here to win. Like, fun belongs in quick play. Fun can belong in competitive, but ultimately wins matter more there.
I'd hate to play a game where I just like absolutely hate my life while I play it. I usually do, but sometimes I don't want to.
That's exactly why Overwatch has like a low amount of players right now, is because it's like a rock, paper, scissors. You play one character, it gets countered by another. You play another character, it gets countered by another. So people aren't allowed to play their one trick or they just lose. Because when I think of one trick, I think of hard, not swapping no matter what happens. And if you were just playing like Doomfist or whatever and you're not good at Doomfist and you're just choosing to lose the game and choosing to take, well, it's not SR anymore, but take SR for your team.
I think that I have a different perspective because maybe you all are such higher ranks than me, but in lower ranks, no one really switches. So it's maybe I have a whole different perspective, but I agree with you guys. In higher ranks, switching is probably more needed. But when the games that I play, I hardly ever see it happen. I hardly ever need to do it anyway.
Okay, not to be most toxic, of the players, but yeah, I mean that's like
most of the players in lower rank don't know how to play that character.
I mean that's how you learn, really. You gotta switch.
Yeah, you learn by
I'm
one
sure you guys
that's
can.
most characters.
I mean, that's true, but like you gotta learn how to do other things too. Like I'm sure you all have had at least once, like this one Doomfist tryhard that just won't switch. They won't like communicate with you guys. They'll like flame you as soon as you suggest something. Because I've had a lot of these people, and more often than not, I've had like situations where the Doomfist would throw himself into the back lines, die 9 times in a row, and then leave the match in a comp game. And I take that, like I have trauma from that. So if you're one trick,
people that are like
if you're
toxically one
that
tricks,
aggressively,
people who are like that, yeah,
well, I
I
mean,
generally just aren't very, should probably switch. But I mean, I don't. It's hard. Maybe it's my own bias for me to say that you're always going to have a disadvantage if there's a one trick. I mean, I a lot of the times maybe it gives you an advantage, in my opinion.
I think from bronze to
Usually
plat,
or
you can
always?
probably one trick. It's usually a disadvantage was the question, and usually it is a disadvantage. Not all the time, it's a disadvantage. More often than not, and it's fine to one trick from like bronze to plat and maybe diamond if you're good enough at your one trick. But I think once you start hitting masters is when you should, if you're actually trying to like climb like fast, is when you should start switching, because you can climb one tricking. It's just gonna take like a lot longer of a time than like actually playing different heroes. And then once you get into those high ranks is when you can start playing different heroes and learning other characters. And then that's when the one question came in, is like jack of all trades or master of none. Once you get into those high ranks or whatever, you're playing those other characters and learn how to play them in those high ranks.
yeah, that's a good point regarding like taking longer just to climb, because like that's the key word usually. Like if I go say Cassidy, like I might win some games if I'm a Cassidy one trick, but I'll lose others. Like I didn't win those games because I was that good. Maybe I am good, and that could be the case. But like, like your enemies are different. Like the enemy hero composition like can vary too. Like if I'm playing, say, Doom, I'm a Doom one trick, and I'm good at Doom. I'm not saying I'm not good, but I'm damn good at Doom. But like the enemy team just went, say, Junker Queen and a bunch of other DPSs that don't really counter him. But if they like, and I'll win that game, but in another game, I'll have a Sombra one trick on my like against me. Like they didn't counter me, they're just a one trick. And if they're a one trick, then they're gonna be good. Then that game is like different. Like you might win, but that doesn't mean like you're still at a usual disadvantage. It just depends on like who's against you.
If I'm done. I don't know if they're.
No,
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
think I
wrap it
got
up by
all my
saying-
points out.
So
Yeah.
have
I'll
you guys
wrap up-
come to like a consensus? Are you seeing eye to eye, or is it just like a agree to disagree type thing?
I still think one ruined the game.
Probably agree to disagree.
Yeah, I feel like there's way too many variables on this one to actually come to like a definitive solution on it.
You think one tricks ruin the game though, Beep?
Very much.
Yeah. So
Yep.
how one tricks? How does that make you guys feel hearing stuff like that?
I mean, I think that like forcing yourself to play characters you don't want to play ruins the game.
Or wait, let me reset it. One tricking when you're trying to win ruins the game. You can one tricking Quick Player Arcade, or like from what I said, from like bronze to plat or bronze to diamond, depending on how good you are. But I think one tricking and actively losing the game, and you know you're the problem, but you don't switch because you will only play that character because you say like you won't be having fun on any other character, but how do you know you want character? You play one character.
I wish I could be on an episode of Overthink. I have so many opinions on so much shit that you guys say. We need a new host. Put me in every episode.
All I'm gonna say, if you're that one Doomfist main that keeps like insta-locking every single comp game, you better sleep with one eye open.
To the 1, to the 1, to the 3. I play easy mode, and I play to win. I love to die, and I like to BRB. All systems checked out. Group up with me. 2 to the 1, to the 1, to the 3. I'm here to party. GG. A giant gorilla can keep up with me. You can't be serious. I'm the queen bee. Get out of the way. I'm the MVP.